Welcome to Counter Narrative News, bringing you today's daily news on Friday the 20th of January 2023. In the occupied West Bank Palestinian town of Jenin, the colonization forces of Tel Aviv have martyred 2 men. Adam Jabrin, who's 28 years old, was a resistance fighter who, according to local eyewitnesses and journalists, seemed to have been shot by the supremacist colonial forces, and then 57-year-old father of 6, Jawad Bawakne, came to his assistant, who also, according to eyewitnesses, was shot by a occupation sniper straight away. Nearly every day this year so far, at least one Palestinian has been killed by the supremacist occupation forces of the Tel Aviv regime. However, the Palestinians are conducting a veritable third or fourth, if you would like to take into consider the long historical time frame, the fourth or third intifada, the shaking off, the uprising against the white supremacist colonizing mission of the state of Israel. Jenin, Nablus, all across the West Bank, is pulsating with resistance on all levels, civil, popular, and armed as well. The Palestinian people cannot be stopped. They will not stop the demographic struggle in terms of developing their communities and their families to maintain steadfastly on their soil, on the ground, which they're happy to share with any other people on the basis of equality, but will never tolerate being usurped. And we wish them all the best and victories in that. Going straight over to Peru, the radical grassroots masses of the workers and peasants and students and their allies are protesting in the capital Lima in a move that's been called by the protest movement the Lima takeover. The Peruvian people continue to struggle in resistance to the deposing of who they see as their supportive leftist President Castillo, who has been ousted, and now right-wing Boluarte is in the presidency. The Peruvian state has killed up to 50 of the Peruvian protesting masses in this situation. However, the Peruvian people are not new to this level of repression. They faced brutal repressive dictatorship before, when the Sendero Luminoso, the Peruvian Communist Party, was on the verge of capturing state power and Lima in the early 90s, and also the Tupac Amaru revolutionary movement and other radical leftist militia and armed struggles, which also were a part of this mosaic of popular struggles of the peasants, particularly the Quechua-speaking poor peasantry, who seem right now, right across the country, are not going to stop until they win their strategic demands. Going over to France, the CGT union has been attacked on the streets in Paris in their general strike against the government's planned pension reforms that seeks to raise the pension age from 62 to 64. CGT leaders are remaining strong and united in the streets, with one activist from the CGT, who calls herself Ferouz, arguing that those without papers, the so-called wrongly named quote-unquote illegals, who have not been naturalized and have permanent residency and nationality, should be naturalized straight away so they can access their social security rights, which is very much their human rights to do so. Going over to the Ukraine issue, Ukrainian leader Zelensky has passed a direct message to his Chinese counterparts, requesting a direct discussion and dialogue with them in relation to the conflict in Ukraine, which the Russians have initiated in their supremacist war of invasion, occupation, and annexation. China have been extremely awkward in relation to the conflict in Ukraine from its outset nearly a year ago now. On the one hand, Kiev and Beijing had very close political and economic relations. On the other hand, probably as a result of the deep inferiority complex around white supremacy, which infects the Beijing leadership, they have chosen to also double down in their support of Russia in this conflict. It's a big mess, and it makes no sense, and it leaves Beijing being in a very awkward situation, which they've been trying to dig themselves out of, leading Xi Jinping to conduct rapprochement with his counterpart in Washington, Biden, and that development continues. Every time there is a move trying to influence China to take a more reasonable and stronger position, even in the context and in the framework of mediation in the Ukraine conflict, the Russian leadership are quick to come in, probably due to frustration and irritation. And again, the Foreign Minister of Russia, Lavrov, has chimed in immediately after Zelensky has passed his note to Beijing, arguing that the West is absolutely dead set to develop its confrontation with China. That's not altogether untrue. However, the Moscow leadership's agenda in this regards is not one of principle and ethics. It's one of panic, seeing that China has not actually given them war material for their project of annexation in Ukraine, but has lent back from that and have this awkward positioning as we go forward. Before we leave you, we'd just like to inform you that it seems that Twitter is hiding our Twitter account, which is counter_CNN. We would encourage you and invite you to quote unquote follow our account on Twitter and share our tweets, and also obviously our YouTube channel, to continue to subscribe, to like, comment. We wish you all the best.